And we're live. Over to you, Adam.
Thank you. Hello, and welcome to the Building with Atlas webinar. I'm here with Eve and Arnie, and we're going to talk about Atlas, which is Mapbox's on-premise mapping technology. So today we're going to cover everything you need to know about how to build an application with Atlas. We're going to start with installation and configuration. Then we're going to go over uploading your own data into Atlas. Then we're going to show how to build a visualization. Then we're going to cover search and geocoding in your application, and finally do a quick conclusion and talk about some next steps. But before we tackle all of that, I'll give a brief overview of Atlas. It's essentially all of the capabilities of the Mapbox.com location platform, but rolled up into containerized microservices so you can run it on your own infrastructure. We can provide annual, monthly, or weekly data updates so you get the latest global base maps. Mapbox Atlas customers tend to have special security and data privacy issues or need to run mapping services offline or on air-gapped or firewalled systems. We have customers using Atlas to map data in remote parts of the Amazon and to handle sensitive healthcare data. Today's demo will focus on how easy and fast it is to get started with Atlas. So I'm going to turn this over to Arnie to demo installing Atlas on AWS with Docker. Please tweet questions to @Mapbox with hashtag #BuildWithMapbox. That's one word, hashtag #BuildWithMapbox. And we'll work answers into the presentation. Go ahead, Arnie.
Thanks, Adam. I'm going to start out at mapbox.com to take a peek at the documentation for Atlas installation. You can find it here. Okay, so we can see here that there are some dependencies for Atlas. Atlas uses Docker heavily to run services on the back end. We're going to be installing on an Ubuntu system. I've already executed the installation of these dependencies in preparation for today. So I'm going to start off with downloading Atlas assets in the terminal. Here is where the installer can be downloaded. And again, I've already done it in preparation for today. So this is the Ubuntu system. Everything I'm going to execute today is going to run pretty quickly because all of the assets and images are cached on the system already. So I'm going to start off executing the download command with the installer, supplying a token and a dev flag, and I'm doing this because the production data sets for Atlas are quite large, between 400 and 550 gigabytes, and it's just not necessary for this demo. And I'm also going to specify a download directory. So all this ran really fast. Again, it's cached. And you can see here now that I have some server files and a config file that I've generated. This is going to be used as part of the installation. So let me show you that. This is going to set up the password for the Atlas instance, the port it's going to listen on, and the host name, which is pretty important for propagating down to the client files. So now I'm going to run the installer with the setup command and the config file. And I'm going to supply two paths, one to the source files that we downloaded, and one to an installation directory. And just a quick note, these commands are separate as designed for installation in an air-gapped network. So the download command would run on an internet-connected machine, and the setup command would run on any machine you want. So if I execute this, what's going to happen is the Docker images that we've downloaded in the previous step are going to be loaded into the Docker context. It takes about a minute and a half. So let's take a look at the documentation again for how to run Atlas. It's pretty simple here. Once the Docker images are loaded into the context, we'll be able to change directories over to the install location and run the Atlas server with the start command, or this shell script rather. Adam, have any questions come in yet?
Let's take a quick look here at our Twitter feed and see. All right, I have one question, which is somebody asking, could you repeat how Atlas works on an air-gapped environment?
Sure. So once again, all the assets for Atlas are downloaded on the internet connected machine and can be installed totally offline. All of the Mapbox client-side libraries like Mapbox GLJS all link to and rely on your Atlas instance, so you can have a mapping experience completely disconnected from the internet. All assets, tile sets, and geocoding data are all pulled down.
Awesome, thank you.
I think we have like another 20 seconds.
All right.
Okay, so we're all set. I'm going to change directories over to the Atlas install location and start this up. It takes about 54 seconds.
All right, and this is Adam. I'm going to take another check for questions here. I have a question here saying, how much smaller is the dev data set than the production data set?
The dev data set is about 8 gigabytes. Provides 3 tile sets, just very high zoom levels.
All right, great.
The geocoding data, which you'll see later when Eve presents, is limited to country level. So for the demo, we'll be doing very high level geocoding.
All right, thank you.
So it's almost ready. Basically what's happening now is Docker Compose is launching all those images into new containers. And our script here is waiting for a green health check from each of the instances before it notifies us that the system is ready. All right. So I have bookmarked here our URL. I'm just going to log in really quick. All right, we're all set. Eve, if you're there, we're ready for you.
Thank you, Arnie. Hello, everyone. Eve here from the Atlas team. Here is the, I'm just going to share my screen here. All right, so I have the Atlas instance that Arnie stood up here in front of me. And we're currently on the accounts page. You'll see that the look and feel is very similar to mapbox.com. You can see our PK token down here. So we'll flip over to Studio. And we'll go have a look at our tile sets. By default, Atlas ships with Mapbox Satellite, Mapbox Streets v7, Mapbox Terrain v2. And for this demo, I'm going to demonstrate how we can upload our own custom data set. With Studio, we'll add the data, style our maps, and then we will use Mapbox GLJS to import our map in a simple web application. So I'll flip over to our tutorials here. I selected a cool tutorial I thought would fit well for today's webinar, and it's this tutorial over here. And it's a heat map of meteor strikes in the world, and it uses data from NASA's Open Data Portal. I'll just copy this link over here so we can download the data, and I'll flip over to the terminal. I'll use curl to download the data. And then we'll head over to the documentation, the Atlas documentation, and see how we can import our own custom data. So the documentation is just at the bottom of the documentation page here. And the section we're interested in is use Atlas with Mapbox Studio. And if we scroll down, there's a section called Create a Custom Tile Sets. we'll see that Atlas supports the MB-Tiles format, and that you can use TPQNU to translate any data that you might have in GeoJSON format to MB-Tiles for Atlas. You also need to name your tile set, or prefix your tile set rather, with Atlas user, and you also need to put your tile set in the MB-Tiles folder for it to be recognized. So that's what we'll do. All right, we downloaded the meteorites data. We'll use TPQNU to translate this data to a MB-Tiles format. We'll set the drop rate to 1 because we want to maintain all the features across all zoom levels. And we'll start at a max zoom of 1, and we'll output this to meteorites at MB-Tiles. Make sure my command is right here. And there you go. And I'll copy I'm going to use SCP to send the data set to the server, remote server that Arnie stood up. All right, I'll go through this command here. So I'm uploading the meteorites.mbtiles file to this Ubuntu instance that Arnie stood up. I'm going to put the data in the MB-Tiles folder, and I'm going to prefix the MB-Tiles dataset with Atlas user so it's recognized by Atlas. Take a few minutes to upload. Adam, do we have any questions coming in from Twitter?
Hey, I'm going to take a look here at the stream and see what we're seeing. Looks like I have one question, which is, what kind of data types can I import into Atlas?
Yes, so the only data type that Atlas currently supports is MB-Tiles, which is Mapbox open spec that uses SQLite to essentially store all the tiles in one file. And if you have data in, let's say, a shapefile or some other format, you can use Ogre to Ogre to translate it to GeoJSON, and then you can use TPQNU to translate from GeoJSON to MB-Tiles format. All right, looks like our data has uploaded here. We'll head back to our Atlas instance and refresh our browser. Hopefully we can see our new tile set that we've uploaded. So you can see we have meteorites tile set now. We'll head over to the styles tab. We'll start a new style, and we'll use the light template. We'll add a new layer, and we'll select our meteorites tile set. We'll change the type to a heat map. Flip over to styles. I'm not going to go through every single styling that's in the tutorial. I will leave the color ramp out for the interest of time. I'm going to change the opacity to 0.75 so we can see the labels in the back. I'm just going to zoom out so we can see better here. All right, and then I will change the radius to style across zoom range. I'll set 0 to 5 pixel, and zoom 22, I'll leave it at 30. For the weight, I'll style it across data range. In the data, there was a column for mass, so the size of the meteor. I'll set 0 to 1, which is already set, and the max size is actually 60 million kilograms. Sorry, not kilograms, 60 million grams. I'll set that to a weight of 25. And I'll set the intensity across zoom range. Zoom of 0, I'll set it to 1. And zoom of 22, I'll set it to 10. So we can see we have our heat map here. So the styling is pretty much all done. Like I said, for the interest of time, I want create the same color ramps that was in the tutorial. But so we're ready now. We'll publish our map, and we'll keep this dialog up because we'll need it for our GLGS application. We'll head back to the terminal. I'll create a file called demo.html and open it up in my text editor. And I have a handy little Mapbox Sublime snippet I have here that basically scaffolds a little app for me. And there's a few things we need to change. Obviously, we're not going to hit mapbox.com, so I need to change the URLs here to hit our Atlas instance. I'll just copy over from the browser here. And over here. And we'll flip over also to the documentation on how to use Atlas with other Mapbox products. Head down to GLGS, and you need to basically set this constant on the Mapbox GL namespace. And we'll copy that over here and copy our Atlas URL. There you go. All right, so a few other things missing. We'll go back to Studio in Atlas and copy our public access token. And we are missing one more thing, our style URL for our custom style. And paste that in here. And that should work. We've set URLs here, token, style URL. So let's open this in browser and see if we can see our map. There we go. We have our heat map in the browser using Mapbox GLGS. For the last part of the demo, I'm going to show how you can bring in a new feature we added to Atlas not too long ago, which is offline geocoding. So we'll add the Mapbox GL geocoding plugin to our app and do a few queries. For the interest of time, I've copied over a few things I need to add to my app here. So I'm going to add the assets for the geocoding plugin, so the JavaScript file and the style sheet. And I will also copy the code here to add the control to the map. Right. So if I've done everything correctly, we should see the geocoding plugin in the map now. I did everything correctly. Save it, and let's go back over here. All right, there we have our geocoder plugin. And again, this is going against the API geocoder on the Atlas instance and not mapbox.com. We'll do Adam, where should I have a look? See what meteor strikes?
Let's pop into New Mexico first.
New Mexico?
Looking pretty dense there.
All right. And you can see there's quite a few strikes here. It's quite a bit over here, close to Roswell. Anywhere else? How about doing maybe I'll do a reverse geocode. I have these coordinates I kept here. So minus 151. Oops. Negative 151 and 63. I think this is Alaska. So Alaska, we'll fly over there and see. Not a lot of meteor strikes in Alaska. And this concludes this part of the demo. Back over to you, Adam.
All right. So I want to say, first of all, thank you, Arnie and Eve, for showing this off. This is just a sample of Atlas capabilities. Thanks to everyone for coming today and learning more about Atlas. We hope that our demo has shown that you don't need to compromise when you select on-premise mapping software, since Atlas is based on the latest Mapbox.com technology. We're going to send a follow-up email that covers everything we did today, including links to the relevant documentation. And please get in touch with our sales and customer success representatives so you can start a trial license of Atlas. Thanks again for coming, guys. We hope you have a great day.